podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Van Lello.
Cody, it was, man, it was a good win, but it was an ugly win. With that being said, what are your thoughts on the Cincinnati performance?
Cincinnati, coming into this game, obviously they had won three straight, so they were coming in. They had a little bit of confidence with their performance, so they knew that they could come and potentially challenge Iowa State. They would give us a little bit of fits because of the way they play defense. It's very similar to the first couple of years of TJ Altenberger, where it's just relentless, gritty, wear you down type of game where they try to get you to turn the ball over a whole lot, capitalize in transition. So that's kind of what Cincinnati came into Hilton Coliseum with. And for the most part, they did a really solid job at really forcing a lot of things. Well, I mean, they forced 18 turnovers against Iowa State. Now, with those turnovers, a lot of those were kind of unforced, but you can just tell that Cincinnati, for a while, had forced Iowa State to making those unforced turnovers just probably because they had like Iowa State kind of concerned, like kind of had them shaking in their boots for a while. So they were able to force those turnovers. However, the big thing for them, what their issue was in this game, usually when you force 18 turnovers against a team, you usually win that game. The problem for Cincinnati was they were out physical in the paint. They allowed Iowa State to really outglass them on the offensive boards. Iowa State ended up with 12 offensive rebounds compared to Cincinnati's five, and yes, you force those turnovers, but if you aren't able to clean up defensive possessions and not allow your opponent, to get those second chance points, you likely won't be able to win that game because it's one thing working for you, but another thing is leaking out so bad that it kind of nullifies what you have been doing well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do have, and speaking of the turnovers, I mean, the turnovers are becoming an issue. Obviously, can it be fixed? We can say yes, and I know that they're fixing this, but like, I have a feeling that like if we don't fix this, man, this is definitely going to be our demise in March, man. This team is a good team, but we really just got to find a way to figure out how to clean these turnovers up. What do you think we need to do?
I think the way these tournaments have been the last few games, they've come in different ways. With TCU, I think it was just us being really like trying to be too unselfish. This time around, it was just a lot of unforced or sloppy passes. So it's just that these effort-based things, really is going to be the key to really fixing these turnovers. But I mean, if you look, Iowa State's kind of been up and down when it comes to turnovers his last five games. You go to Kansas State. They had when we hosted Kansas State, they had 18. They had seven at Allen Fieldhouse. Then you come back here to TCU. I think you had like what 13 or 14. Then you go to UCF, you have nine, and then now you once again have 18 turnovers. So it's it's pretty hit or miss with Iowa State when it comes to turnovers. So it's just one of those things where yeah, you ideally want to keep it like to 10 and under. But I mean, yeah, I think that's just a big thing, but it just depends on what it is. And a lot of these things, like I think this game is one of those like outlier ones, like it's just really sloppy passes, but these unforced turnovers, these are things that are going to be fixed. I can truly believe. Now I need to see it for me to really believe it, but this is something that I know for sure. TJ and the coaching staff and the players are all like really, really honing in on. So we'll have to see how that comes to fruition.
No, I completely agree. This is just something that's just like discipline. This isn't something that's like a internal problem that needs to be fixed. But obviously this is something that's correctable. It's something we gotta be more disciplined, and stuff like that. And also just lastly, and just to close the conversation on this game, who was your most valuable player yesterday?
Hmm. I think the player that really outstood the most, I would have to. This might be a unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go Brayton Chatfield. And the reason I go with Brayton Chatfield because he was there a lot of the time to really clean up the glass, like to get those second chance points, and those second chance points were really what kept Iowa State afloat, even with all those turnovers they've been having. It's just those second chance points kind of neutralize those turnovers.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Brent Chatfield was um, a big reason why we won that game yesterday. I mean, I'll even say like a lot of the bigs, like and even Heisey, him getting those big offensive rebounds, and I mean like the second chance points, man. Like I don't know if you've seen that video or yeah, obviously the video that you quoted about that Cincinnati fan complaining about how it was an absolute ref show, but like the box score says different. Like, yeah, you may think that, but you guys were also getting killed on the boards, and then you guys got shut out in second chance points in the second half. So yeah, you might think it's a ref show, but y'all didn't crash the boards like we did. Like it really, that game shouldn't have really haven't been close at all. Probably could have won that game by 20, 25 points if we don't turn the ball over. So I mean, I guess that it's sour grapes, but it's okay.
Right. Yeah, and you want to know, speaking on this ref show, let's talk about what happened like with the officiating today. That this is something that I
So
have
bad.
never seen in my time. Like, I think this has been probably the worst officiating game that I had seen since basically Kansas
Yeah.
State. That's where I think some people really drew parallels to Iowa State's performance was against Kansas State because you had the officials
Mm-hmm.
not just this year, but even last year when he had like those calls, they were just all over the place. And then obviously you had five technicals get called between the two teams. You had three for Cincinnati and two for Iowa State. Now I don't know, like with the Keyshawn Gilbert one, I think that's fair. That's fair for the official to call that. I think he had a
Right.
case. You never want to mouth off to the official like the way Keyshawn did. But I think this is just a symptom because if I remember, this is the same crew that I believe did like the was it the Kansas State game or was it the Arizona game?
I believe it was the Kansas State game.
Okay, yeah. So, and then I think one of the officials was like from the Arizona game where Keyshawn Gilbert, like there must have been something that happened in that Arizona game that kind of carried over to here. But yeah, you got Keyshawn Gilbert getting a technical for a missed call. Now, on that, I really think Keyshawn might have overreacted a little bit, but he
Mm-hmm.
does have a case because I mean, if you look at the play itself and you looked at what's been happening the entire half, Cincinnati was being very aggressive, and that's what was to be expected. But maybe like Keyshawn, like I mean, you saw on that last screen, he was definitely getting like he had a case like to be pissed off. So he gets teed up, and then I think from there, I think the team really woke up. Like the team like got that
Mm-hmm.
bolt of energy. The Hilton atmosphere, like which had previously been a little bit more quiet than what I'm used to, they
Yeah.
definitely got up after that technical, and from there, I
Oh
think it
yeah.
was just a landslide. And then Cincinnati gets three technical fouls. I mean, you had the double technical on Bandango and Deshaun Jackson. You had the technical on Wes Miller, and then finally the technical on Reed. So a lot of like the technicals were getting called all over the place. This was just wild.
They were passing them out like candy yesterday, and it was just it was horrible. Like the refs were making it more about them, and it was absolutely ugly, man. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up our conversation about Colorado, and now it's time
Okay.
to take a look around the Big 12.
hmm
Like, so I'm going to show my screen.
hmm
Um, we're going to put that up.
You know what's funny? You just said Colorado. Can we just give a quick round of applause for Colorado finally winning a Big 12 game?
Cody, I called it, man. I said I called it, man. In the last show, I said that they're going to get their first win, bro. Elite ball. Tyler is an elite ball knower. Let the records show.
You might have copied Chris Williams on that a little bit because Chris Williams also called it too that they were going to get the first Big 12 win. So I think you and Chris Williams must have been sharing brain cells at that time.
Probably were. Great minds think alike, man. That's absolutely crazy. Hold on. I'm trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
My bad, but it's not letting me.
hmm
But we
Okay.
yeah, but I mean, one of the games I wanted to talk about was K State. Late night basketball. They lose a tough one on the road in Provo at BYU. What are your thoughts on that?
Big 12, yeah, Big 12 after dark basically, because I think I was able to stay up for this game. I don't know how I managed to, but I guess it was just like I didn't have much to do, so I was watching a lot of basketball, and yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, I got the schedule for you.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
so yeah, BYU. I mean, this was just a case of the Marriott Center being a difficult place to play in, difficult place to win, and Kansas State. They really couldn't make as many shots as like you would expect them to do. Now they did have a bit of a run in the early in the second half, but outside of that, you really didn't. I didn't really see like as much like shot making from Kansas State. If you look here, I know it isn't a show, but yeah, if you look at the field goal percentage. I mean, outside of Doug McDaniel, nobody else was really making shots for the Wildcats. I mean, he led the team with 22 points. Then you had Brendan Hassan with 12, but nobody else on the Kansas State team really cracked the double-digit figures. So I mean, it just goes that sometimes it just wasn't your night. Meanwhile, for BYU, you had Richie Saunders, 17 points off of 5 of 13 shooting, but you also got your contributions from Dallin Hall and Fuseni Traore with 16 and 11 respectively. So this is just a case of BYU putting up like their shots. They were making them. Kansas State was putting up shots and they weren't making them. So it was just that's just what this game turned out to be. And Kansas State, their 6 game winning streak in the Big 12 has come to an end. And BYU gets a pretty nice win to try to keep their bubble hopes alive to go to March.
Yeah, and they're also trying to. They're 2 games behind Iowa State to try and get that first round bye in the conference tournament. But let's look at some of the other action yesterday. I mean, this was a dandy. I Bleav this game came on Baylor and West Virginia. Um, that game went into overtime, and I can't couldn't stand it because I was getting pissed off
Yes,
because I had to change it to ESPN Plus for the game yesterday. I'm like, you got to
dude,
be kidding me.
this is something that needs to be fixed at ES. They need to fix this. Like this is just not just for the Big 12, but just in general. They need to do a better job with their time slots on cable television. You can't convince me that you're going to be able to fit these basketball games into 2 hour time slots on these channels.
Right.
Expand it to like 2 minutes 15, 2.5 hours. You're not fitting a lot of these games into these 2 hour windows because you don't know what's going to go like well you know what's going to happen or whatever. You got all these commercial breaks and whatnot, stoppages of play. So you need that little extra cushion, like when it comes to your time slots. Otherwise, you're going to have this happen. This keeps happening, and I mean, we're Big 12 guys, so of course
Yeah.
we're going to talk about these Big 12 games a lot more and how like salty we are when it comes to them. But yeah, this is a general pattern um, that concerns me. But I mean, in this game, Baylor just Baylor and West Virginia. This was like a your old like Big 12 fist fight. It just came down to who really can make the last shot. I mean, you had good contributions like around the board. Well, I mean you had Javon Small really and Toby Okani as like your main guys for West Virginia, and they were putting up a really good fight. I thought at some point they would win that game. Baylor, they got a lot of contributions. This was 4 guys in double digits, which really helped Baylor get over the hump. Norchad Amir and Langston Love with 17. Robert Wright the third. He almost like when I was watching this game before the Iowa State game. Robert Wright looked like he couldn't miss a shot. Like you see, he went
Yeah.
6 of 7. That man could not miss.
Yeah, it was
So
absolutely insane.
hmm So I mean, for Baylor, they get another nice win and they keep themselves alive for March as well. They are 8-6. They're tied for like fifth in the Big 12, and West Virginia is continuing their slide after beating Iowa State. Look at West Virginia ever since that win. They've now lost one, two, three, four, five, six of their last 8 after,
Jeez.
so they're on a slide. So their hopes, I really thought, yeah, when they beat us, I thought they were going to go to the tournament and how they played in non-con, but oh boy, things have not looked the same for them.
It is not good in Morgantown right now.
hmm
And it's probably worse in Lawrence right now. Kansas had a horrible loss in Salt Lake City to Utah. Man, what is going on with the Jayhawks, dude?
Um, I look at this like I would have to look at this roster composition for Kansas because I'm looking at it here. Like, I mean, Bill Self has come out and said he does not like. You could tell in Bill Self's press conferences he does not like this team composition. He does not.
Yeah, it doesn't it's not like built like a KU team that we're used to seeing that's
Hmm.
a competitor um in this and um like Chris Williams was saying, he was like it's crazy how much a difference it makes when there's an even playing field. When everybody is able to pay players. It's just like
Yeah.
it hasn't been the same in like a few years. So like
Hmm.
KU has not been KU.
Yeah, since that national championship squad, like that was the last time Kansas was really Kansas. That national squad with Baji, McCormick, Jalen Wilson, Christian Brown,
Remy
like that
Martin,
roster.
yeah.
After that, it was not the same. Because I mean, you look at Hunter Dickinson; he came back for another year because him and DeJuan Harris both went to the NBA draft, but it turns out they were going to be summer league players, so they came back to get another year. And then also the transfers that Kansas brought in. I mean, outside of Zeke Mayo, Rylan Griffin, and AJ Store have not done much for Kansas this year. So those are two swings and misses for the Jayhawks' NIL collective.
Yeah, they really haven't done diddly squat, and now they're tied for fifth. And I mean, I've never seen like KU fans act out like this. It's crazy.
they they are down horrendous.
They're down very, very bad. But
I never thought I'd
look,
live in a world where the Kansas Jayhawks are like this. I never thought I'd see a world where Kansas fans are like this way. I never thought I'd see it
well, I
happen in my
mean,
lifetime.
look at who they have to deal with now. They have to deal with the Iowa State, who's good, Houston, who is basically the new team that runs this league, and then Arizona. So I
Hmm.
mean, you're not going to be able to just run this league like you thought you would. So I mean, hey,
Hmm.
they're gonna have to change that if they want to be the kings of the Big 12 again.
Yeah. You know what? Houston, Arizona, what a fun game this was to watch.
Yes.
What a fun game. Like this would have been like this is the 1 p.m. tip also before Iowa State. I rather tune into this game than West Virginia Baylor because my goodness, Houston and Arizona, they were wire to wire. This kind of looked like the game that we had played against Arizona, and
Mm-hmm.
Houston ultimately comes out and really like I mean, you said Uzan led the Houston Cougars with 19 points off of 8 of 12 shooting. I mean, Caleb Love, he looked. I mean, Caleb Love, it looked way. He looked like like that overtime period against us. That's what he kind of looked like against Houston. I mean, the shooting, not exactly, but Caleb Love was playing up to what he was brought in for Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, he's been shooting efficient the last few weeks. 'Cause otherwise, there's just been some games where he's been like 2 for 15. I mean, he wasn't even shooting well when we played against us. But I mean, Arizona is now just feeling the grind of this conference. So now they fall to 11-3.
Hmm.
So now we're only a game behind Arizona in the
Yeah.
standings, and we that will loom large 2 weeks from now when we play them at home at Hilton.
Yep. And then obviously that allows Houston to jump into sole possession of first place with 2 games to go. And I think, yeah, Houston, after that 4-3 start, yeah, they've only had that one loss to Texas Tech. And other than that, they've looked really, really good. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Houston can find a way to jump into a 1 seed the
Yeah, I
way
mean
they're playing.
that's what they're playing. And they're playing into to 1 seed. I knew. I'm like, man, once Houston gets to conference play, I'm like, they're gonna figure it out. It was only a matter of time. They had a hell of a conference schedule. So I
Hmm.
was like, well, and it looks like Houston's probably gonna win another regular season title. We still got games left, but the way
Yeah.
it's looking, it
I
looks like they're
mean,
gonna cruise to another regular season title
yeah, I
pretty
mean,
soon.
it'd be like this would be a great opportunity for Iowa State. And I mean, you see that college game day is going to Houston, Texas, for our game against the Cougars.
Yeah, I'm in a group chat with my Houston bros, and I'm like, hey man, I'm like, watch, we might steal, we might. I think we're gonna win that for Cheetah, bro. I have a
Yeah.
weird feeling we're gonna win. Everyone's like, well, I don't know if we can't turn the ball over. I'm like, the key word is if we turn the ball over. It's not a
Hmm.
matter of that we don't have the talent. It's just like when you play like the way we've been playing, if we keep playing like that, yeah, we're gonna get blown out the gym. But also got to remember that this same team last year, like we were in there
Yeah,
with them the entire game, and then they
yeah.
pulled away at the end.
No, I think actually, yeah, that game last year, Houston really gave us the first punch, and from there, like we were right there with them. It was
Right.
that first punch early in the first half, similar to what happened when Houston first visited Hilton Coliseum, where we punched them in the mouth, and we never gave up the lead, even though they kept it like they tied it a couple points. They just never got over the hump. I think that was the same story for last year at the Fertitta Center, and I think this is the Iowa State. We have much more talent. Like our talent on the offense is better than what
Oh
we
yeah.
had last year. So I think we can make it like Houston, Iowa State. Like we said, they play very similar styles of basketball. It just comes down to who can outlast the other. This is going to be one of uh, those heavyweight boxing matches where it comes down to who can be the last man standing, who can be the one that gets up before the 10 count and keeps the other down. But yeah, that'll be a fun matchup to watch. So looking to the other matchups here in the Big 12. Texas Tech wins by about 40 at Oklahoma State. JT Toppin with 32 points. And oh boy,
You want to talk about belt to ass, man? To lose by 38, almost by 40 points at home is absolutely embarrassing. Like that's crazy. That
now I know Oklahoma State ain't good, but look who they like. Look at how many people played for Oklahoma State. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10.
everybody played.
They emptied their bench. It was just that kind of day. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, that is so bad.
Wait, hold on. Let me calculate the points here. Christian Anderson, and Kevin Overton, 29 points, 14. Texas Tech's bench outscored all the starters for Oklahoma State. Two guys, and even JT Toppin, he outscored the entire starting lineup on his own. I
That's
mean,
yeah.
that's certainly making a statement in the Big 12. Clearly, that win at Houston.
Oh man.
Like, look at this. Look at this streak that Texas Tech is on. They only lost
Wow.
after losing to us at the USA. Their only loss was to at Arizona. Outside of that, they
That's
just and then that win at the Fertitta Center. Oh boy, that
wow.
rematch is gonna be fun. That Houston rematch should be really fun at the USA.
Definitely will be. That crowd's gonna be on 10. Like
Yeah,
it's
nothing. They would love nothing more than the season sweep Houston. Let's see here. I mean, I think the only game we haven't really touched on yet was TCU at Arizona State, and Arizona State. Oh boy, they've lost what 5 straight now. They
yeah.
certainly are out of the bubble for the NCAA tournament. They're certainly out of the bubble.
Yeah, honestly, after that Iowa State game, like it sort of just fell off the rails for them.
Hmm.
So I mean, they're just probably fighting for the NIT right now. So we'll see what
Yep.
happens. But hey, we had some good games on the national level. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah. Let's see. Yep. So okay, wait. All right. These are going on right now. So before we get to that, take a look at some of the. I mean, Ohio State pushed Michigan to the brink today. This was on CBS. This game just ended. But look above it. Memphis goes down to Wichita State in overtime. The Shockers with a shocking upset over the number 14 ranked the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, and Tyrese Hunter had a hell of a game. He had 24 points and 6 rebounds. So
Hmm.
Tyrese just really become a nice player. And it looks like the move from Iowa State was a beneficial one for him.
Well, the stop at Texas really hampered him. But Memphis,
Right.
he's now at a place where he looks like freshman year Tyrese Hunter. I think that Texas stop kind of hampered his development. But yeah, going to Memphis alongside PJ Haggerty and under Penny Hardaway,
Yeah.
done him favors. But and Creighton and St. John's are right now in a dogfight here. I mean, in Madison Square Garden. So watch out for that.
I mean, we're coming down to the last shot, and Creighton, Bradley and Drake. So I'm watching that
Ooh.
right now in live time. 15 seconds, 14 seconds, 13, 12, 11. Oh, oh, Bradley, 61:59 with 10 seconds left. Oh, oh, crap. Okay, it's coming down. Okay, they just called timeout. This is live. This is why we
The beauty
do
of
live. The beauty of doing live podcasts during watching games. This is why we do it, people.
mid-major madness. It's like this is what see, this is what like gets like thrown under the radar. 'Cause when you talk about like top 25s, but talk about the mid-majors, this is
Oh
great.
man,
This is what we
it's
love college basketball. This is why now that like football is no longer out of the picture, and this is where I'm locked in for like the next month and a half. I'm locked in for the next
absolute
2 months.
cinema.
Yep.
Absolute cinema.
All right. So back to yesterday's action. You had the number one team in the land versus number two. I believe this is the third time in SEC history that it's happened. Auburn, Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, and Auburn controlled the game from the tip off, and they never looked back.
Yeah, they never looked back. I mean, and they scored the same amount of points in the half, but it's just like Alabama or Auburn was arms lengths better than Alabama, and that's how they pulled it out.
Yeah, and I mean Auburn clearly proving that they are the number one team in the country, like
Definitely.
cut above everybody else. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
barely leave any doubt that you're the number one team.
man,
And
it's
that
just yeah.
so we'll have to see with that. Number three, Duke taking care of business, and I mean they put up 100 against Stanford, and Tyrese Proctor put up nice points. Cooper Flag continues to perform phenomenally, and Duke is still looking like they're leagues above everybody else in the ACC, and they're looking to get that number one seed, which I don't doubt that they will. Like I don't doubt that they'll get that a number one seed. There's no reason
Yeah,
that they don't.
I mean, the only team that I could probably see them giving trouble is Clemson because they lost at Clemson, and Clemson's just a game behind. And but also lost watch for Louisville. Louisville is 12-2, so hey, maybe those teams will make it interesting at the end. Who knows? We'll
Hmm.
see.
I mean, looking at Duke's schedule, it's pretty favorable. Like I honestly think
Oh
Duke will need to
yeah,
drop a game, but I don't see anywhere else that Duke will drop a game. Maybe, just maybe, if North Carolina can put itself together and get the win. And for Clemson, same thing. I don't see anybody really giving them that much of a challenge when it comes to beating them. But I mean,
Cody, I'm sorry, man.
yep.
Drake goes down in a heartbreaker, 61-59 to Bradley. Bradley gets a huge win.
God. Yep.
Dang, what a loss.
Yep.
So it looks like they're gonna. Drake has some work to do to get an at-large bid.
I mean, here's the thing. I figured like if they lose one more, they have some room where they could lose one more regular season game, and I think this was if this was it, I'm fine with it because the rest of their schedule, they're looking good. Like they're in prime position to win. They got UIC, they've got Northern Iowa, and then Evans. Yeah, Evansville. So honestly, if there was a game to drop, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was Bradley. Now it sucks it happened at the Nap Center, so
Right.
but we move. I think Drake will still be like in contention for an at large, or even if they go on to win the Missouri Valley.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
you can get an automatic bid, but like yeah, just I do think that there is a new metric in college basketball to where like a mid majors won't be punished for their schedule.
yeah, I believe they call it like wins above bubble. I
It was
think it was
above
what
bubble.
was it
Wow, yeah,
JBR? Yeah,
yeah,
JBR Bracketology put that out, and I mean Drake's got those like quad one wins. Obviously, you got that win over
hmm
Vandy, and then the one over Kansas State, which aged really well even
yeah.
with that start. So honestly, Drake, I mean they're 2-0 in quad one games, so that's going to be huge for them. And yeah, I think yeah, it's gonna be them or I'd say New Mexico, like out of the mid majors. Those are the two mid majors to kind of look out for. Let me see, Mountain West. Yeah, speaking of New Mexico, yeah, they're gonna be playing like they should be tipping off right now. They're up against Utah State. So after this, if you can on TBS Sports Network, go ahead and watch New Mexico and Utah State, and it's at the Pit. So what a game that's gonna be.
I gotta watch that. That's gonna be a dandy. Man, let's talk about this Vanderbilt Tennessee game. Tennessee puts a 50 spot in the second half. I mean, Vanderbilt was up double digits the entire game, but Tennessee came to their senses and was able to pull away. Uh, Ziegler for Tennessee had a huge game, 22 points, 8 assists. But man, Tennessee was a gutsy comeback in the second half to win this game over
Hmm.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vandy, like they were on like in the first half up 13 and outscoring like Tennessee outscoring Vanderbilt 50 to 32. That's what got them over the hump. And Tennessee, like they're in the mix. They're in that mix to get a to get a one seed. If you look at the mosh pit that is the SEC, yeah, Auburn they're cutting above everybody else. But you look at the mosh pit. If you look within the top like seven, eight, you just see where all these teams land. And I mean, Florida, I mean, is right there. They got a really nice win. They got that win over South Carolina, so they're still in the race for the SEC regular season title. And
And,
with Florida,
not to mention they have a win over Auburn. So I mean,
hmm
like
yeah,
it's going to be an interesting end. And their schedule is pretty favorable, except for the last three games. The last three games are going to be tough. They host A&M at home at Alabama, and then they host Ole Miss at home. So they should at least be able to maybe. They probably lose at Bama, but they can win the rest of those games. They have a favorable schedule.
yeah, and then that will seal their case. So a
Right.
case for them to get the number one seed. So you have a lot of SEC teams like fighting to build their case, build their resumes for a number one seed. And yeah, you know who I
Why can't it just be good at football, man? They're good at football and basketball now. Like what the heck?
who Alabama?
Yeah, Alabama and Auburn are good at basketball. Like
Uh,
Florida's good at basketball. Like
the football thing for Auburn, Alabama, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
it's
Auburn's
questionable.
questionable football. Alabama, I don't know. Florida, they're they have some upside. Florida has some upside in football.
Yeah, but Florida has also been a traditionally good basketball program, especially with Billy Donovan.
Oh
But
yeah,
anyways, we're going down the slate. Wisconsin with a huge win on the road at Mackey Arena, getting a 10-point win over Purdue.
yeah. And I mean, look at the way they almost put up 60 points in that second half to really pull away
Unreal.
against Purdue, and this is going to cause some mayhem. I saw some like I don't know, like I think they saw what we saw in the bracket preview. Were they like a three seed?
No, they moved up to a 2 seed over Iowa State.
Huh. Some Iowa State fans are not happy with the fact that Wisconsin moved up a whole seed line.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, I remember the last time we played Wisconsin in March.
exactly.
Hmm. Anyways, yeah, Wisconsin with a huge win, and this is a team like I think earlier in the year I just never got a good gauge on it, but like they're still looking like again they're contending like to get into like
Hmm.
a good seed line, but I just feel like with Wisconsin they just could never get that major like win or whatever to really etch themselves like as a really elite program. They just could never.
Yeah, they really done that. Now we look at Michigan State. Michigan State gets a big win on the road in Champaign on a night where Illinois retired Terrence Shannon's jersey. And if you know the backstory, Illinois season has gone upside down, just like Terrence Shannon's jersey was hung upside down, bro. Unreal.
That was basically the story of this game and this season for Illinois. No, what's funny, I think I saw like some like guy on Twitter was saying like
Mhm.
why are they hanging up Terrence Shannon Jr.'s jersey when he spent 4 years at Texas Tech and spent 1 year at Illinois and Illinois is hanging up his jersey.
I
And
think,
then
yeah, I'll tell you
yeah, and
why.
then I just saw like and then him and like some Illinois fan they were going back and forth on Twitter. It was just hilarious to look at.
I think they did that because he's took them somewhere where they haven't been since 2005. And if you remember that legendary 2005 Illinois team. That team made it all the way to the national championship game.
Oh
So
yeah.
they took
hmm
them somewhere to the Elite Eight, somewhere they haven't been to so five. So that's why.
That that's fair. That's honestly fair. I think that's a better case than what TCU did. You remember when they were doing their jersey retirement? What was it, Kevin Raymond or I don't remember his name.
Hmm.
That was hilarious. But I guess for TCU, you don't have as much basketball history, so you take your wins where you can. But yeah, Illinois, they got shut out in the last 8.5 minutes of this game. I think they went up like 65-63. And from that point on, they got blanked. Michigan State blanked them.
It was a severe scoring drop by them. Michigan State rolling into form, and now I mean they play Michigan the last 2 weeks. Michigan State trails behind Michigan behind one game in the Big Ten, so that's going to be a fun finish to see who wins the regular season title in the Big Ten.
hmm And then Arkansas, John Calipari. Oh, he's not happy right now with Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas, they're on the outside of the bubble after this loss, where you thought maybe Arkansas could get the win. They could get the upset win over A&M in College Station, but Texas A&M pulls away.
Yeah, but again, A&M is looking to be in maybe in that 2 seed range, 3 seed range. So another team that we're fighting it out against. So should be interesting to see. And
hmm
then Mississippi State gets a huge win on the road over Ole Miss.
hmm So some more mosh pit action going on in the SEC. The self cannibalism is happening, and then you get Texas with a major win over number 15 Kentucky. And Texas, they've got a good win for their chances to in the bubble.
Yeah, boost their resume up. They've had some pretty good wins over the last few games. So we'll see how Texas finishes in SEC.
Missouri also, they're on a bit of a heater. They're looking pretty good. They get a double digit win in Athens over Georgia. And Missouri, I think they're a solid team to really watch for. I mean, they could
Yeah,
get a top four seed as well against A&M or Florida for that matter.
yeah, credit. I mean, credit to Missouri. I had them on. I had them on upset alert. Because Georgia was feisty, but they handled their business on the road, and that's what good teams do: handle their business on the road. And to close out, Clemson gets a huge win on the road, um, beating Florida State by 26 in Tallahassee.
Yeah, this game was never a game this was all Clemson from the jump. So a lot of different seedings are going on right now. A lot of different things are happening, and I mean Iowa State just continues to chug on through all the chaos. And now that college basketball is is the main focus for for the sports calendar pretty much for the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
These last few weeks are going to really we're going to start seeing teams really fortify their resume. We're going to see teams play desperate to try to get into the tournament. And well, I mean, looking ahead here, I guess, looking ahead to some top 25 matchups, I mean, there really isn't anything I mean, outstanding. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. So, I mean, you've got on Tuesday, you have obviously Iowa State plays Colorado, but the
Mm-hmm.
big game that I'm looking at is number 7 Purdue travels to East Lansing to take on number 11 Michigan State. So that's going to be some,
Ooh, I'm watching
yeah.
that.
So they're going to be jockeying for position to the Big Ten. You've got, I mean, Seton Hall, who they're going to Milwaukee. They're going to the Pfizer Forum to take on Marquette. Seton Hall who had beaten UConn, and seeing UConn's downfall is crazy. They went
Oh,
from
it's glorious. It is glorious, man.
I am here for it. This is this is beautiful.
I
I
mean, we
mean,
have the
what?
downfall of KU and the downfall of UConn. I am in heaven right now.
Yep. Yep, and I mean, who knows? Florida could possibly get a 1 seed as well, so things are looking good for you. Because I mean, they're taking on Oklahoma on Tuesday, and boy, Oklahoma. This is something that happens almost the last few years. Oklahoma, they always start out hot in their non-con, and then as they get into
Hmm.
conference play, they just slump.
Yeah, I
It's
don't. Mhm.
it's funny to look at, but I mean, real quick, I guess there are some other things that gone on. I think we mentioned briefly in the last show. We have some women's basketball going on. Yesterday, actually, the ladies during the men's game, they traveled to Allen Fieldhouse to take on the Kansas Jayhawks. And boy, this was an offensive masterpiece from the Twister sisters. They put up 93 points in that win over Kansas,
Wow. In
93 to 80.
AFH.
Which had been a house of horrors for a while for the ladies, but this was just a game where this was this great ball distribution, even like distributed scoring all over the place.
Yeah,
Uh,
Cody, we always see the women always are getting round into form late February, early March. So I think Iowa State women are becoming the team that we thought that they would be when we previewed them way back during football season,
yeah.
before the season. So it's a good, great win by the ladies. I'm excited to see how they finish out the season, but definitely playing their way into the tournament.
For sure. I mean, if they keep up performances like this, they went 50% from three.
Wow.
I mean, Sydney Harris off the bench put up 5 and 9 from three. Emily Ryan as a starter, 6 of 10. And then you had Kelsey Jones and Addie Brown contribute three threes each. You even saw Audie Crooks take a three just because. Just because. This was like, what's funny is like, did you see Deshaun Jackson like just calves just, he was wide open. He just pulls up for a three. I'm like, what? I just saw that. I'm like, no way. Deshaun Jackson, of all people, just pulled up for a three. And that thing was actually on target. It wasn't like an air ball or anything. It hit like
Right.
the backside of the rim. So the fact I'm seeing him even take that shot, that's crazy. If for one reason or another, I just see a random game where Deshaun Jackson is just nuclear from three, I'm gonna be a dying of laughter. There's no
Hey,
reason.
look, it's gonna be like one of those tournament games, like in the first few rounds, where one of the big men are gonna hit like multiple threes, and we're like, oh yeah.
That was hilarious, man. But yeah, I mean, I take a look at the ladies' schedule. For their struggles, like I mean, the thing is, they like the one thing that people are gonna have an argument against Iowa State for is the fact they haven't gotten a single quad one win, which is true. They're
Yeah.
0-8 in quad one games. I mean, they're winning everything else. It's just can they get those marquee quad one wins, and they have two opportunities to do so. You get at Baylor the same day that the men travel to Houston, and then you're home on senior day for Kansas State.
Hey, that's a big opportunity right there to host K State at home and maybe get some good momentum going into the conference tournament in Kansas City the week after.
Hmm.
So the opportunity is there. They just got to take it.
For sure. And then I was watching the women's game today before this. UConn absolutely went into South Carolina and they put on a
Wow.
show.
They beat South Carolina by 29?
Yeah, look at the
Holy
shooting.
crap.
Look at the 3-point shooting.
Oh, dang. They locked them down.
Yeah,
And then
it
they
was
killed them on the glass, too.
48 to 29. Let me look at this. I gotta look at the box score here. 15 offensive boards versus 6.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I mean, what Paige Beckers? She wasn't even the leading scorer for them. Like everybody talks
Yes.
about Paige Beckers, but as he Fudd went 50% from the field, 6 of 10 from three,
That'll do it.
28 points for her. That's crazy. I think South Carolina they were so like locked in on Paige Beckers, they forgot. Oh yeah, they have a lot more talent than just Paige. And
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
you look at the second quarter. They held Carolina to 9 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, watch out. Hey, watch out for UConn. They could definitely make a run in this women's tournament, and especially just with Iowa taking a step back. Watch that. I could. This is definitely be a preview of a Final Four matchup. We could definitely see
Yeah,
this again.
I mean, let's take a look at some action today. Yeah,
LSU,
LSU and
Texas.
Texas are going at it. TCU, Arizona are going at it. I hate her so much. I hate that. Mm. Dude, did you like? I remember going to this game. It was only a couple weeks ago. Man, our students like we were giving her the business. We were giving Sedona Prince the business when she fouled out. I know we lost that game, but we gave that was the best part of my day. I know we lost this game against TCU at Hilton, but this was the best part when we got to heckle her when she fouled out. That was fun. That was fun.
I love the pettiness. I love it.
I mean, it is petty, but also there are allegations out. I mean, it's out there, the public domain. So, anyways, Let's see. It's just some more women's ball action. Let's see, yeah, number one UCLA. I saw the preview and oh boy, like I'm looking at it here. It's just let me just take a look at these rankings here. Like Kentucky, I didn't expect Kentucky. Like there are a lot of these teams I'm learning for the first time, but yeah, women's ball they're gonna have something going. But I mean, isn't other than that, I think the other thing I think I'm looking at real quick is to plug wrestling because I think they're up against Northern Iowa.
Yeah, currently I
Um,
think they're wrestling in what, Cedar Rapids, I think.
no, it's Cedar
Or Cedar
Falls. That's
Falls.
Northern Iowa, not
Not
Iowa.
Cedar. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, the wrestling team fell 26-10 to number four ranked Northern Iowa, but there were a couple of good wins for Iowa State. You had heavyweight Daniel Herrera, ranked number 27, take out number 14 Lance Runyon. You also had Cody Chittum with a nice win over Ryder Downey 4-2. So you had some nice wins. Just unfortunately, I think just injury, a lot of injuries for the wrestling squad this year, but there's something to build on. So yeah,
All right. Thank you for those, Cody. And with that, thank you guys for tuning in to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Um, look for a preview show to come on Tuesday afternoon, a few hours before the Colorado game. A few shameless plugs I want to talk about. But at the end, like always, um, Bleav in Iowa State was nominated by FISBA as a top 15 sports podcast in the state of Iowa. So once again, we thank you guys for supporting us and watching us. Being and for you guys being football and basketball sickos, we appreciate that. Also, we can be found on Twitter. This is Cody's at Matt Kemp Impersonator. So if you want to talk ball with him, he'll be on there. If you want to talk ball with me, Tyler. This is my handle on Twitter, side tie guy. Also, don't forget to support us on social media. These are our five different forms of social media: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. They're all under Bleav in Iowa State, BLEAV. So thank you guys for your time. And for Tyler Carter,
and for Cody Van Cielo,
this is the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
let's go State. Ooh,
All right.
ooh. Creighton. Okay, Creighton.